Hi there, and welcome to this second part for me at the IEX event of Seminis here in Enkhuizen. Very happy again, just like yesterday, to be able to join you in this live stream and to give you some insights on crop protection in onions and carrots. Where, as we talked about brassicas yesterday, we will focus today on onions and on carrots. My name is Ermers. I'm a crop advisor for outdoor vegetables for Bayer Crop Science. And as I said, I'm very happy to be here. If you take a look at the acreage in the Netherlands on onions and on carrots, you can see in the lower area of the slide that both onions and carrots are major crops for Dutch vegetable growers. Both crops are mostly seen as arable crops in the Netherlands, so they fit in an arable crop rotation very well and they have a very steady position in it. If we take a look at onions, you can see that we are close to 37,000 hectares, which is for a country as the Netherlands, quite a big area. Over the last few years, the area of onions tend to rise a little bit, which gives some problems in some areas with a crop rotation on 1:6, if there's enough space for onions to be grown. So you see in the Netherlands that new areas are developed where onions are grown, more in the north and the northeast part of the Netherlands. For carrots, we can see a very stable area over the last few years. If we take a look at crop protection in onions, then I will focus on a few pests and diseases we know in this crop. Of course, there are many more, but let's focus on these few. The most important in fungal diseases for onions, downy mildew, botrytis leaf blight and Staphylium. If we look at the portfolio we have in onions, then we're very happy to have two very strong products in this crop, and both products are able to fight these diseases very well. On downy mildew, the name is Peronospora destructor, and it's not a coincidence that that name is given to this disease. If you take a look at this disease, then it might happen that within 14 days your field is gone from very healthy to completely ruined. Basic problem with downy mildew is that the incubation time of this disease is very long compared to other diseases. So if you see the first signs of downy mildew, you can be sure that more downy mildew is on its way. So that's why a preventive approach of this disease is very important. Botrytis leaf blight, also an important disease in the Netherlands, mostly seen when the leaves are going down in onions, because the weather conditions in the crop are more favorable for botrytis leaf blight. The disease needs wet conditions and a long wet leaf period to develop. Very easy to recognize this disease if you see the little gray spots on the leaf and you squeeze them very, very soft. Then you can see with botrytis that a crack will occur in the spot. You can squeeze any spot, but as long as you don't see the crack appear, then it's not botrytis leaf blight. Very short incubation time, so this disease can develop very fast. And also for this disease, and actually for all diseases in onions, we say a preventive approach is necessary. Staphylium, as third major disease, is a very tricky one, because Staphylium will infect your crop early in the season, but it will only show itself later in the season, especially when the crop is suffering from other problems like drought or too warm weather conditions. So Staphylium is a problem mostly not prevented early in the season, and then later on in the season you can see the problems with Staphylium go way over your head. So for Staphylium, you need to be there early in the season to prevent infection, to make sure that at the end of the season it doesn't give you any problems. For insects in onions, the list is longer than mentioned here. I will focus on thrips and onion maggot, both very big problems at this moment in onions in the Netherlands. Onion maggot, Delia antiqua, is especially a problem because we don't really have the crop protection products to fight this insect. Of course, there are some measures you can take on an integrated pest management approach with sterile female insects on this insect problem with onion maggot, but we have some problems with the amount of insects that are available in this integrated pest management program. For thrips, we can say that over the last few years we really did a good thing in bringing knowledge to the growers, and the results are clear to me in the field that because growers have more knowledge, they are aware that for a problem as thrips tobacci, you also have to be very early in the season to prevent problems with this insect. If you let this insect infest your crop and you leave it there and you let it grow, population will grow, and within a matter of time you won't be able to get a grip on the population growth. So everything you need to do in a crop like onions to prevent thrips is make sure the crop is growing in the best possible way, and next to that, be in time. So monitoring of the disease is very, very important. As you can see on the photos I brought, on the left side you can clearly see downy mildew spores on an onion leaf. A fun fact for downy mildew: if the spores are formed, the disease can spread, of course, very fast. What is good to know that if you have rainfall, only a slight bit of rainfall between 3 and 6 a.m. in the morning is enough to prevent sporulation from happening. So if you want to fight downy mildew, always keep in mind that in the nights when it's raining, the disease won't spread. On the right side you can see a photograph of onion leaves, and you see a very big thrips kind sitting on the leaf. And if you take a very close look in front of these thrips, you can see an adult of thrips tobacci, and you see some very small dark yellow spots. Those are the larvae of thrips tobacci. And the biggest thrips you see here is not thrips tobacci, but it's a rove thrips. And rove thrips can help us out in fighting thrips tobacci. The only problem with rove thrips, they only occur when the pest problem with thrips tobacci is actually too big. So you see the rove thrips can help us out, but they only appear when the damage is done, a little bit too late. If we look at the portfolio in onions, we are happy to have a lot of products available. Rudis is a product based on proteconazole we use before sowing to fight soil-borne diseases. And also this point, soil-borne diseases, is a growing problem in the Netherlands. Fusarium and white rot, known as old diseases. If you are close on your crop scheme in interval, then you know that sooner or later you will have problems with fusarium or white rot. Over the last few years we also see pink root making a big rush in onions, and that's mostly due to warmer climate conditions helping this disease out. It favors warm conditions, and the small climate change we tend to have does fit this disease very well. Rudis is very good on both white rot and fusarium, and it's not a product to use when pink root is a problem. Fandango and Luna Experience, both used as foliar applications for the foliar diseases, with our proud product Fandango being by far the best product available in onions, because it does not only fight downy mildew in a proper way, but it's also very strong on stem phyllium, on leaf blight, etc. So knowing that in the future we might need to do it without mancozeb in onions, it's good to know that a product as Fandango has a very wide range in preventing all these diseases. If we take a look at the insecticides, Flipper might be new to you to hear. Flipper is a product available in the Netherlands, and we hope in a short time of period it will be available in the rest of Europe as well. It's a biological insecticide based on carbolic acid, and it's very strong in contact work on sucking pests like thrips tobacci, and in other crops you can use it on aphids and on whitefly, for instance. There you see two products in the middle, Batavia and Movento, both based on Spirotetramat, and as I explained yesterday, very unique products because they do not only work upwards in the plant systemic, but also downwards. So the product is taken up by the plant and it's brought up in the plant through the xylem, and through the phloem it's also going there in the plant where growth is happening. And for thrips tabacci in onions, that's a very good matter because the larvae of thrips are always in the shaft of the onion and very hard to reach for other products. So Batavia and Movento both being able very well to reach the larvae of thrips. If we then take a shorter look at carrots, major pests and diseases, also the same split up, fungal diseases and insects. Cavity spot being a very old disease in carrots and mainly due to a crop rotation that is too short. For carrots, the advice would be 1 on 8 to keep in mind to prevent problems with cavity spot. And once you have cavity spot, if you're a carrot grower, then you, without any doubt, you know this. Once you have cavity spot, you're infected for the rest of your life. So cavity spot also, try to keep in mind that a long crop rotation is actually necessary. We have, and I will come back to that later, we have a nice product on cavity spot available, a biological product for soil application. If we take a look at the other diseases, carrot leaf blight and powdery mildew, both foliar diseases, and a little bit depending on the year you're in, what disease will occur first. Powdery mildew, as we know, most favorable warm weather conditions. It hardly needs any moist to develop. So that's the strength of powdery mildew, and you can recognize it, of course, by the white, soft blush that is occurring on the crop. Carrot leaf blight, it's a little bit a harder disease to fight. Mainly occurs when the crop is going down at the end of the season. It's getting a little bit weaker, the crop, which is a good thing for Alternaria dauchi to infect the crop. When we look at the insects in carrots, carrot root fly is a very big problem. We don't have, as Bayer, we don't have products on Psilla rosea, unfortunately. Carrot root aphids are also known as an upcoming problem in the Netherlands, where last year we had quite a lot of infection. This year, so far, the amount of infection is quite low, but over the last 1 or 2 weeks, we can see the infections of pemphigus is going up. And we do have a very nice product for this problem. The carrot willow aphid, mostly known as a problem because it's able to spread a virus in carrots. And it does so very early in the season, meaning that your carrot will be infected and unable to grow out, being a nice full-grown carrot. If we look at the portfolio in carrots, we also have contents available, of course, an old product, but still very good to apply in a crop scheme against sclerotinia. Also a biological product, of course, old but still going strong, as we say. If we look at the foliar applications, we can work with Rudis and with Luna Experience. Both products very good and strong on the diseases I mentioned, where Rudis is very strong on powdery mildew and Luna Experience, its strength is more to Alternaria than on powdery mildew. I talked about Serenade yesterday as well in brassicas, and I will do again for the carrots. Serenade is a very interesting product because it's a biological product based on Bacillus amylolichefaciens strain 713. Forget it when I say it, but it's a Bacillus kind of product, very specific strain that is able to prevent powdery mildew when you apply it as a leaf, as a foliar application. But it's also a very interesting product to apply as a soil application. And what it does in the soil, that when you're able to get Serenade in the soil just before or at sowing, the bacteria from Serenade, they will kind of hop on the carrot roots that are developing. And they will protect, they make a film around the carrot root, and they will protect the carrot root from soil-borne diseases. And we have very, very nice results if you look at Pythium violet, cavity spot. The results of Serenade are very, very nice. So keep that in mind if you have problems with cavity spot, to apply a product like Serenade in the soil. Also on the right side you see our insecticides in carrots, Flipper. As I just mentioned, a biological product on sucking pests, which might be very handy early in the season when aphids are a problem. and also here Batavia and Movento, both products based on spirotetramat, where both products are able, when sprayed as a foliar application, to go all the way down in the carrot to the top of the roots, where it can fight your root aphids, the pemphigus kinds. So a spraying, let's say for the Netherlands, for the Dutch conditions, a spraying somewhere at the end of July or the beginning of August is mostly more than enough to completely get rid of the problem for the rest of the season. So a very nice product, long working, and a very good way to get rid of root aphids. In short, this was my presentation on onions and carrots for crop protection products. Of course, we will go on after this with the carrot presentation. If there are any questions left, please feel free to ask them. Thank you for listening.
Mark, thank you very much for the presentation. We have one question from the audience. Do we have any work in progress to insert resistance to thrips in new varieties? If not, would that be possible?
So this question is about if we have any work in progress to get thrips resistance for onions. If I got the question right, that's about the question. Well, that would be a better question to ask to the onion breeders of Seminis, of course. If we look at thrips tabaki, we know from brassica types that there is a big difference in the way the crop is affected by thrips tabaki. If we take a look at onions, then we know that for other type onions than we grow in the Netherlands, there's also a difference made in how much the crop is affected, yes or no. If we look at the Spanish onions or onions grown, for example, in the United States, we know that some varieties are more susceptible than others. For the Dutch varieties and under Dutch conditions, so far, we don't see any differences, but it would be, and of course it is, a very interesting point to have a better look at. So I will bring this to the onion breeders within Seminis, and I will ask them that question again. Thank you.